You're listening to EUAudio. Listen, learn, lead. Preemptive and proactive obsolescence management. Did you know that the term computer originally described a job title? Before being electronic machines, computers used to be people who did mathematical calculations for companies or governmental authorities. Human computers played a vital role at institutions like NASA, but with the advent of electronic computers, their job became obsolete. The same happens to a lot of automation components, made obsolete by more modern and efficient alternatives. With continuous advances in automation technology, it's very likely that at some point manufacturers will be faced with the challenge of sourcing a replacement automation part that has been discontinued by the original equipment manufacturer. Though there's very little that plant managers can do to stop parts from becoming obsolete, there are many strategies that can be implemented to either prevent or minimise the negative consequences of obsolescence. Obsolescence has to be accounted for from the very beginning of an automation project. That is in the designing and contracting phases. Since the useful lifespan of technology is shrinking, it's essential that design engineers conduct extensive research on components' life cycles and consider how long the components they intend to use have already been on the market. If a component has been produced for 10 years and its forecast lifespan is 15, it is likely that the OEM will discontinue its production in just a couple of years. In this case, it's best to opt for a solution with a longer predictable life cycle. It's also advisable to prefer open and modular structures to closed inflexible ones, and avoid customized configurations that require bespoke components. In the design phase, engineers should also research the user base of the components they are planning to install. The smaller the user base, the bigger the risk that the OEM might decide to discontinue production. Digital twinning and virtual reality can also be valid tools for design engineers. These technologies enable them to visualize a production line before it's built and assess which components are most likely to wear and tear and require frequent replacements. Finally, manufacturers should assess their internal resources for repairs. Are these sufficiently equipped to alleviate the potential impact of obsolescence? Is the maintenance team competent in managing the solutions you're planning to implement? Having a well-prepared maintenance team can make the difference between hours and days of downtime in case of a component's failure. The first and most important step to proactively manage obsolescence is to know your equipment. Monitor the life stages of your machines and make a forecast of how long they will still serve you. To help you with that, there are various websites that provide manufacturers with components' lifecycle information, though OEMs are usually the most reliable source of information. It's also essential to develop a strategy for condition monitoring to help you identify any end-of-life or obsolete components that need replacing as soon as possible. This will give you time to source the component from the best supplier instead of ordering from unreliable sources in the desperate attempt to minimise downtime. At this regard, forging relationships with a trustworthy supplier can go a long way in managing obsolescence proactively. In case of failure, it's essential to know who to call. Finally, don't forget to keep your records updated. Schedule regular equipment audits and make sure you keep track of parts that show signs of wearing. Human computers were slowly phased out by information technology, but many of them were able to overcome skills obsolescence and went on to have successful careers as programmers. Similarly, future-proofing your assets is possible with the right combination of preemptive and proactive measures. EUAudio is brought to you by EU Automation.